feel like it's why most people don't vote, maybe. They
Mhm.
feel
Yeah.
like it
Mhm.
almost doesn't matter.
Matter,
Disenchanted.
yeah.
Because no matter what, you hear things about what politicians are doing to cover things up. And I think fear trickles down of people at the top who have all the power and all the
Yeah.
money.
This didn't get worse, it's always been. I think those are conversations of deconstructing I've been having with people that are not Black, Indigenous, or Brown
Mhm.
lately,
Mhm.
because they have had to really like settle with this in themselves to understand the bias that they have been fed their entire
Right.
lives when it comes to the truth of this
Right.
matter. This
Right.
country has never been just for everyone.
They allowed corporations to lobby and make donations
Yeah.
hidden. So there were laws that were changed in the 70s that
Yeah.
are affecting us today
Yeah.
and that have shifted the power back to a certain group of people. If there's anything taken away from the founders, if there's anything taken away from them, it should be that they had the audacity to change the system at the time and create a new one.
Right.
So why aren't we taking that spirit
Yes.
of change and bringing that forward to today?
Trying to like lead people in that direction of realizing that as well, because the change will take place in us, you know, like that is where the true revolution lies.
Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee, Matcha, and Soul. Today, I have two wonderful guests. You might remember Victoria Negri from last time. We had her a couple of times this season. Victoria has run her second ultra 100-mile
100
marathon.
mile, yeah.
The second ultra, yeah, amazing, right?
Mhm.
And she's developing a feature. Maybe we can talk about that a little later.
Yeah.
Also called Ultra.
Called Ultra.
So, and
There's a theme happening.
and if you may remember Ashley Lauren Elrod, she was in season 1 with us, and so I think it's really cool to have some guests coming back, and it's wonderful to have Ashley Lauren back. Ashley Lauren has just released a book called Maya's Magic Word. I think it's really beautiful, the art. She did the art herself. I was really impressed to hear that. And Ashley Lauren has a program she's developing called Maya's Magic Word Program.
Project.
Project,
Yes.
project.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to have both of you on. I've been thinking about a topic that we can discuss. Maybe it ties back to Maya's Magic Word. Maybe it ties to experiences in the film industry and what you've heard. There's just been a lot of news lately around the handling of the Epstein files.
Yeah.
I'm not very interested in like controversial stuff. We tend to stay away from that, but I am interested in like what this means in terms of how Americans are feeling and how I think Americans in general, and we can look at a lot of things in the headlines, feel that there just isn't accountability for some Americans. And I think the handling of the case and the things that came out this past week kind of indicated that. You know, it was really sad to see that what was redacted and unredacted from the files were the victims' names were actually unredacted and potential perpetrators were still kept hidden.
Right.
And so I think there's just a lot we can talk about and
Yeah.
tie all this in. But maybe to start, why don't you tell us a little bit about like what inspired you to write Maya's Magic Word,
Yeah.
why you wrote it, and maybe we could tie it into this overall
Yeah,
topic.
for sure. Yeah. Well, as you know, I'm a survivor. We haven't met yet until now, but I am a survivor, a grooming survivor, CSA, SA, and DV survivor. And I have been utilizing my story for the past almost 16 years now, on a national and kind of global level as well, to help honestly bring out and expose what's happening right now with the Epstein files, with everything that happened with Diddy, just like my experience in the world of entertainment, the equestrian world, the mega church world, several different worlds that I have a lot of experience in when it comes to exploitation. So I created this book because it was needed. I've talked to so many families over all of these years who still aren't comfortable having conversations with their kids about
Mm,
bodily autonomy,
mm,
safety, just overall empowerment over their bodies, to
yeah,
make sure that we are helping to work on being proactive about prevention and not just proactive at reacting to harm.
yeah,
And that's what our society kind of set us up to do in the beginning, was just to react to harm.
right.
They took away all of the ability from, I'll say it, like Black Indigenous people, for instance, with our rituals and our groundedness and what we were offering to the world and to the land. And then they demonized it, and then they were like, well, we're going to throw this and we're going to throw that over here, which makes people sick,
Right,
and
right, right.
and instead of like the preventative care that was natural and holistic that used to be in our society, it was taken away.
Mm,
So I want to bring back the prevention that we
mm,
should have always had from the beginning.
mhm,
And that starts with resources like Maya's Magic Word. It's a
mhm.
book that is a storybook. It's a rhyming book. It's easy, it's accessible, it's attainable for kids starting as young as ages of 2. And that's on purpose because obviously they're the most vulnerable population. And I wanted to be able to just bridge the gaps. So many adults, like I said, are
Really
so
cute.
uncomfortable. Thank you. Thanks.
I
You
love
look
the
beautiful through it. Yeah,
Thank
it's
illustrations.
beautiful.
you.
Yeah.
And like so many adults are still so uncomfortable speaking with their kids about these things.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be able to like say, okay, the elephant is still in the room, but how do we realize it's not scary though to speak about it? And how can we make it non-fear based and trauma informed? So I created this first book. It's going to be a series because I've dealt with even, child on child abuse, where usually when another child is exhibiting those kind of behaviors, that means they are getting abused. But once
Mhm.
again, educators back then in the 90s and pretty much any generation before us were not paying attention to those
Right.
things. And other kids like myself who were also experiencing that were not protected because we didn't also know. You just don't know.
Yeah.
So I am trying to take these big conversations but make them very easy to just read to your child.
Wonderful.
And now it's going to be a program where we're working with a Chicago Children's Advocacy Center, partnering with them on it for the curriculum, and Imagine Theater, which is a children's theater as well. So it's going to be an interactive, first of its kind, preventive measure in our society for child
That's
abuse prevention.
that's wonderful. I mean, so I think I love what you're doing in terms of educating children and families to
Yes.
be able to talk openly about this. And that's the first step if we're
Yes.
going to head towards accountability, right?
Yes.
Like you
Yeah.
have to be able to voice. But like let's say with the Epstein files, like
Mhm.
you can see also there is a fear for the victims because they don't get believed. And actually, with the Epstein case was another thing that was interesting that came out recently, which I was also surprised about, was how much the DA in Florida was involved in
Mhm.
like trying to let it go, and so he got.
Yeah.
Now they're investigating that as well, and there was a report on it, and I thought
Yeah.
like, so the problem is like it's almost like in our government, right? It's almost happening. The corruption is happening on a governmental
Oh,
level
yeah.
that's like allowing
Mhm.
these perpetrators to get away,
Yeah.
and I think that's part of the reason why Americans are really angry. Like Americans, I think in general, know that
Mhm.
the system is rigged
Yeah.
for certain individuals, and yeah, that's why we have things like another kind of topic I want to bring into this is like Luigi Mangione
Mhm.
and how like Gen Z are kind of rooting for him,
Yeah.
almost like lionizing him, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird because he allegedly killed someone, but
Yeah.
I think American people felt like, well, someone finally did something,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Against like this like power of corruption that's affecting all of us,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
I think for me, it's there's so many nights where I'm just in bed and I don't know why I do this,
Mm,
but I'm like, "Oh, time to catch up on the news" as I'm falling asleep, and I
No.
just get so upset and so frustrated, and then I can't stop and I can't sleep.
Yeah.
And it's really, really frustrating to feel powerless. And I
Yeah.
feel like that's why, I mean, there's so much to say about that in this country right now. I feel like it's why most people don't vote, maybe. They
Yeah.
feel like it
Mhm.
almost doesn't matter
Matter.
Disenchanted.
Yeah.
because no matter what, you hear things about what politicians are doing to cover things up. And I think fear trickles down of people at the top who have all the power and all the
Yeah.
money. And then the
Yeah.
people in political office below them or they're afraid to take action because
Mhm.
their job's in jeopardy
Right.
and their life and their career, and then the people below them and below them and below them. And then
Yeah.
where are you if you're not,
Right.
upper class or billionaire?
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's really sad. And thinking about Maya's magic word
Yeah.
and children, and it's all similar. It's like
Yes.
kids having the fear
Yeah.
Mm.
of how do I say something if this is somebody I know?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think it's really fear based,
Yes.
and it's
Yeah.
how that's a separate thing, not
Yeah.
like the way the government is set up and
Right.
culture in this
Mhm.
country.
Yeah.
How yeah, money is the be all end all
Yeah.
to pretty much everything.
For sure. And like you said, it is a culture thing. It's a culture that was bred from the beginning of time. I mean, I have been talking about this online a lot for the past year, just of like before all this fully started coming out, I've been in the anti-trafficking world for over 16
Mm.
years. I was doing this work for a very long
Mm.
time. I have helped transport survivors. I have helped house survivors, like
Mm.
all of the things. My best friend's a sex trafficking survivor, one of the major like
Wow.
religious cults in America that got shut down by
Yeah.
the FBI. So I've been in this, for a very long time. And just, yeah, the culture that was bred since the beginning, honestly, though, from boarding schools and slavery, that's something people don't really like realize or look at. Even the porn industry,
Mm.
it's the same thing. It's Layla McElwaite. Has been going after Pornhub for years, like probably
Mm.
the past decade, and she's been doing incredible work because there's sex trafficking that was happening through Pornhub.
Wow.
And people are, watching Pornhub, and that became a thing of our culture, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like that's sometimes how parents introduce some of their kids to sex was
Wow.
through
Wow.
was through watching porn. I've
Oh.
I've heard that. I've heard that for young boys specifically
Wow.
who got introduced to sex because their fathers thought it was like, oh, well, just watch
Or
this.
friends
Or friends,
too, I'm
yeah, too.
sure.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. But mostly, I mean, honestly, but most of them said it was their parent.
That's wow,
Wow.
that's
Yeah,
Wow.
sad.
yeah,
That's
but that was the way once again, because they couldn't have conversations, like
right.
I'm trying
Right.
to like push out in a comfortable way
Right.
about sex,
Right.
right? So it's all a culture thing that was bred from the beginning of time.
I think you're right that I mean, of course, we've been having this throughout time, right? It's like there's definitely been this
Theme.
theme of prostitution,
Yeah.
trafficking, for
Hmm.
sure. I mean, it's been throughout our history. Do you feel that somehow maybe technology is allowing it to come out more, or because it seems to be
Hmm.
in the headlines more?
Yeah.
And then the other part to it is like, yeah, I think this always existed. It was hidden. There
Oh,
was
yeah.
always corruption, but I somehow, maybe people feel like the system has gotten somehow more corrupted.
No.
No?
No. Like I said, go back to slavery
Yeah,
and go
for
back to
sure.
boarding schools. That was
Sure.
trafficking
Mm,
by the church, by the religious that
hmm.
came onto this land and started taking kids out of their homes and
Right,
putting them in
right,
boarding schools.
right, right.
My people were slaves.
Yes, yes.
It's like my great grandmother, like she had been the first free person in our lineage.
Yeah.
So it's like that's what happened to them. They were
Yes.
us
Yeah.
they were sexually exploited every single
Mm,
day. So it's like this didn't get worse, it's always been. I think those are conversations of deconstructing I've been having with people that are not Black, Indigenous, or Brown
hmm,
lately
hmm.
because they have had to really like settle with this in
Mhm.
themselves
Mhm.
to understand the bias that they have been fed their entire
Right.
lives when it comes to the truth of this
Right.
matter. This
Right.
country has never been just for everyone.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
Right.
it's just not
No.
true.
Right.
So I think that's also too why people are having a hard time right now is because of like, oh wow, I have to really deconstruct my mind of the propaganda that was fed to me my whole
Right.
entire life of like we're all created equal
Right.
and God bless America.
Yes.
And then,
Yeah, land of the free,
r-
home of the brave.
right.
Okay.
So when it was like when still there's states that allow child marriage,
Yeah.
people just weren't paying attention.
Right.
I say that boldly online and to my followers. I just say, some of you all just simply weren't paying attention. This has always been like even I posted about my story of racism and deep things that my family went through with myself.
Mhm.
We were chased down the back roads of Tennessee when my dad was on a work trip. We were,
Yeah.
by the KKK.
And this was,
This was in the 90s.
90s?
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
See, and people always have that.
That
But once
yes.
again, I have plenty of Black friends who have the same exact
Yeah.
stories. And people will always be like, wow, you're 37, or, I'm about to be 37, and oh my God. And it's like, yeah, but if you talk to any Black person, for the
Yeah.
most part, they have the same exact story, especially if they're from the South.
Actually, I had experiences with my Black friends in the 90s
Yeah.
where, I mean, I grew up in Queens. And so when you're around here, but I would take a trip out the moment I left
Yeah.
Queens border
Yeah.
and just go upstate. I mean, I had a really close friend and we would always get pulled over. And one time we ran out of a town.
Yeah.
So yes, I mean it's the reason when you said the 90s, it was so shocking, especially the KKK,
Yeah.
I mean,
because
most of the country's
Oh,
KKK now.
yeah, right. But people,
now
but
Well,
right,
they're
but
out.
people, but the thing is, right, see, they're out.
They're
People
yeah.
were,
they were
and that's,
They're
yes,
hidden,
empowered. They're empowered again. Yeah,
exactly,
yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
emboldened to
yes,
be out, and that's really scary for me because at least it was hidden and it was inappropriate, and you were a
right,
bad person to
right,
be that way. But
yes.
now it's
It's like the poisons in the water and this man and the administration have emboldened, yes, the psychosis of these people to run
Mhm,
rampant.
mhm.
yes. The other thing that you said about it always being in our culture, I think maybe, and it's true. I mean, because this is what I grew up and was fed this idea
Yeah,
of American equality for all, and that we're all treated equally
yeah,
and we're all
yeah.
punished the same and given the same rights, right?
Hmm.
And I think what people are being confronted is like, no, that's not true. It only works for this elite class.
Yeah.
And I think maybe some, let's say, white Americans
Hmm.
are like, wait a minute, they're not. Why am I being treated the same way as everyone
Yes.
else?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's where this confrontation is starting to
Yes.
happen. They're starting to see like, oh no, wait, this America of freedom is only for this class of
Yeah.
Mhm.
people. It's not about
Yeah.
anymore. And so
Yeah.
that I think that's been kind of what's coming out in the headlines.
Yeah,
Right.
there's just so many layers to it all, as we know now. It's just like, yeah, the culture that's always been embedded, but also the truth that's always been hidden. I was having a conversation with someone too about like the MLK movement and how I feel like now looking back, they used okay, to be honest, after his death, in a way where I feel like it was exploited, to be honest, because
Mm.
they made Americans off of his death feel like, "Oh, it's fine.
It's fine
All of
now.
that's back in the past. MLK died for this."
Yeah.
And Malcolm X and all of the greats, Fred Hampton, it's like, they died for this. It's like we got civil rights, and it's like I really now look back and I'm like, wow, they really exploited that once again to feed into the propaganda that we are all created equal and everything changed, exactly when that moment happened. Which is interesting to also dissect myself at this age.
Well, culture doesn't change overnight, and I guess my question is like, what does it take?
Yeah.
And you know, I remember speaking with a friend a while ago who kind of like doesn't vote, is very just like
Yeah.
kind of um, a contrarian to everything, but in a way of like questioning things to get conversation going, not argumentative, but saying like, looking at Trump in a way of like, maybe not that it's good that he's in office, 100% not, but is his being in office revealing things that we needed to see revealed that have always been there, so that change will happen. It has to get, it's like, you know, the metaphor of when you're cleaning out your closet for spring cleaning, you got to get all the stuff out and reorganize it all. It has to get really messy before it can get good again. And you brought up Luigi Mangione. It's like we have these acts of violence and Charlie Kirk and these things happening of people feeling helpless and outraged and the reaction to the Epstein files. And it's all connected of like, how bad is it going to get? And is that the way change happens? Is there like this side of the Trump thing that it's like, this needed to happen? I don't know. It's a question that I think about.
So I actually...
That's still upsetting.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
like,
I know.
It's upsetting.
It's all too much. But so I'm an intuitive, which Saro knows. I actually had a dream about much of what's going on right now 6 years ago, which I posted the reads.
You mean nightmare?
It was a nightmare, but it wasn't really a nightmare actually. It was like a very detailed dream. Of what was going to be going on at this time 6 years ago before Biden got into office. And I posted receipts. I've been sharing it online, and everyone who reads is like, you know, chills.
Well,
this
I'm
is
going to
crazy.
go back and look for it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you guys. But it was very detailed. And it definitely was a dream where, like it felt scary. It felt constricting. It felt polarizing. But then at the end, I ended up like in this house that was basically like it felt like a museum, looked like a museum, like relics were everywhere from time. And at the end, I did see like a TV, and there were bodies that were wrapped up, and they had numbers on them, and they were being taken up by a crane and like sent somewhere, one by one. But there was these two other young women standing in the room with me, and I don't know, they were just smiling. They were very just peaceful, fine. I remember just feeling like this, okay, like I think in the end this ends up okay. I feel those bodies means like at the end of the chaos, the old will be passed away, the new will come. That's what what I'm tapping in about this more and more. That's the feeling I get, because it wasn't like people are dead and like, you know, these bodies are being taken away. It felt like more so like it's the old is going to pass and the
And
new
look at
is...
Mamdani.
Yeah,
You know, like there are tiny moments where I'm like, oh, maybe we can do this.
Yes. Yeah. It's going to definitely be a lot happening this year. Like there's going to be a lot.
He's in office a year, 3 more years of him. A lot's going to happen.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot happening for sure. But like you said though, I do believe the new world is going to be ushered in. There's a lot of people that I've been speaking to who are all on the same page as I am. I'm literally creating a whole new ecosystem for child safety.
Great.
You know, I just spoke about it a couple weeks ago at a conference of like a whole 20-page detailed plan of like how we reset the system for children.
Oh, that'd be great.
So it's like people like, you know, leaders like myself who are out there are already, you know, ready to plan and move forward with what we believe will be the new system.
That's great. We like everyone has to step up to do their part and voice their concerns. But I think my one concern about like coming out in the open, right? Like with racism, with Nazis, just coming out in the open is like, because all that stuff gets learned to the next generation. And so there was a trajectory where I was quite excited to see the millennials. So I'm Gen X. I'm probably the only Gen X ever. But I was excited by the millennials and actually hopeful for the Gen Zs that they were just being more accepting of each other.
Yeah.
And so that was very exciting. But it seems like in this time, there's been this resurgence of like animosity towards others, right? And othering people. And just, let's just call it racism, like out front, bold racism. And that's what concerns me is I don't want to see that be taught to the next generation because then it
Sure.
perpetuates.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this earlier, like abuse perpetuates,
Yes.
right? Like
It's a
it
cycle.
becomes learned. I'm not saying every child learns that behavior and then does it later. That's not the
Right.
case,
Yeah.
thankfully, like
Yeah.
you, right?
Yep.
You're trying to stop the
Right.
cycle.
Yeah.
But these are generational cycles
Yep.
that just keep perpetuating. So that's my only concern about this moment. I do hope people kind of like take their head out of the sand
Yes.
and face what's going on and say, no, this is not acceptable. This isn't the America we want. Because you're absolutely right that racism was always there. It didn't end after the 60s. It didn't end
Right.
after Martin Luther King, but I kind of believed in the experiment.
Right.
And maybe I could believe in that experiment because I grew up in Queens.
Yeah.
And there
Yeah.
is
The
something
most
really
diverse.
the
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
diverse.
Sure.
And that was
In the world.
I was
Yeah.
very proud of that upbringing because it allowed me to just connect with different groups. Like I remember, in college, I was like the honorary Guyanese member in the
Yeah.
Guyanese club, and
Yeah.
so I got to live in that world, and I had friends of every nationality and
Yeah.
diversity, and I had a Chinese kung fu family, and so I just got to interact with different cultures,
Yeah.
and I know the reality is that like there's no difference between us at all. We're
Yes.
all the
Yeah.
same. It's
Yeah.
very simple. Like
Mhm.
that's just reality that
Mhm.
I wish people embrace.
Yeah.
Right? We're all looking for the same thing.
Yes.
Most of us just want love and happiness
Yes.
and family,
Yeah.
and that's what we
Stability.
all want, right? And so, it's sad that a few people seem to who are however they were raised, whatever happened, who are
Yeah.
really, really bad. And another point about like how do we change the system is you see, you were talking about earlier about that fear that trickles down and it starts at the government. If you can't even turn, the government is designed to protect the people. Its sole function.
That's what they say.
It's so no, but that's how our founders built the government to protect a
By
certain
by
class, a
I was
certain
gonna
group, a
say,
certain group.
by
yeah.
murdering.
If you
Yes,
want to go
a
deeper.
certain group, right?
Yeah.
But you have to take the ideas and
Mhm.
expand it to everyone
Yeah.
because their ideas were revolutionary at the time, right?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
they did get us out of a monarchy system.
Right. Right.
There is value to not having kings.
Mhm.
They didn't apply it to everyone, which is a huge problem. But you take that and you have to continue the work that our predecessors did to get the world and the country to a fairer, more righteous place. Like that
Mhm.
should be the mission.
Mhm.
But when
Mhm.
our institutions get corrupted and they're not protecting the people because they're protecting the class of
Mhm.
people that have the money and the power to manipulate our congressmen, our senators, right? That's ultimately what, as you said, it keeps coming back to money. And so maybe the thing that has to happen is maybe and this happened in the 70s. They allowed corporations to lobby and make donations
Yeah.
hidden. So there were laws that were changed in the 70s that
Yeah.
are affecting us
Yeah.
today
Yeah.
and that have shifted the power back to a certain group of people. And so that's the thing that needs to be changed right away. Like, how do we get the government to support the regular people? You have to uncorrupt the system, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. I
It's a
think
lot of
yeah,
work,
it's
right?
a lot of work. It's also to like going back to it as well though. It's like even the predecessors were like, as you know, weren't that great. And even to just like the separation of church and state, honestly, has never really been a thing.
Mm,
The
That's an
Christian
yeah,
nation.
it's
Yeah.
never been a separation of church and state. If there was, then we wouldn't have had boarding schools and we wouldn't have had the Bible, shoved down once again slaves' throats. So it's like I think we have to also continue to deconstruct what they were even doing. And the truth of the matter is, like, well, none of us were back there at that time,
right.
but we can go deeper, though, and look at what they were doing still that wasn't great.
And
So,
improve upon it.
yeah,
Like that's,
yes,
yes, we
yeah,
can't just go,
yeah,
I hate it when our quote unquote honorary judges on the Supreme Court say that we're right? That we're looking at the letter of the law, that we're
Yeah.
what is the term that they use, that we're foundational, or the
Yes.
founding fathers,
Yes.
right? Like they, whenever they want to undo something, they say, what did our founders intend?
Yes.
Why are we looking back to
Yes,
that?
right.
That was 300 years ago.
Yeah.
What our founders, there were some very interesting founders. I find Benjamin Franklin very interesting. You know, he was
Mhm.
ahead of his time,
Mhm.
but regardless, like that was 300 years
We
ago.
need
They
a
were
clean
wrong.
sweep. We
Yeah,
gotta
yes.
get in there. We gotta get in the
Yes.
Constitution.
Yes.
We gotta
Yes.
revise some
We have to
things.
Yes,
move
yes.
It's
forward.
There were
we need a
revisions,
yeah. It
but
needs to
Move
more.
forward. We need to move
of course,
forward.
we
Yeah.
need to move forward. And if there's anything taken away from the founders, if there's anything taken away from them, it should be that they had the audacity to change the system at the time and create a
Mhm.
new one.
Right.
So why aren't we taking that spirit
Right.
Yes.
of change and bringing that forward to
Right.
today and saying, like, wait, can we do this better? Why can't we do this better?
Because I mean, look at our
Right.
government. Half of them are 100 years old,
That
and they should not be there.
right.
Straight up. And it's like those are the same people who have the same exact mindset as they did when they first got into government.
And
And
it's
those,
convenient to them not to,
yep,
Right.
to
because
take,
all
yep.
of the lobbyists and money,
Hmm.
speaking about just gun rights,
Yeah.
it's money gets pumped towards these things of like
Yeah.
just keep it the way it is
That's right.
because it benefits us and these
Hmm.
corporations and these people.
Yeah.
Um,
That's right.
yeah.
See, it comes back to the lobbyists.
It
I think
does. Yeah.
if we were to eliminate the ability for corporations and organizations to be
Yeah.
able to spend
Yes.
tremendous amount of money and keep it hidden,
Yes.
black
Yeah.
funds and all
Yes.
that type of
Yeah.
so eliminating lobbyists and then term limits.
Yeah.
Why
Yep.
should
Yes.
why should they stay in
Yeah.
forever?
Right.
They're
And
dying in office.
Yeah.
It's like they're every time I log into Instagram, I get another video of some politician like slurring his words because he
mm,
probably had a stroke. It's like, can we
right.
get
Get like you need to take a just please go settle down somewhere, please.
I wanted to bring this up. So I watched a
Mm,
documentary called The Alabama Solution. I don't know if either of you've
No,
heard of
not
it. It's
yet.
Oscar nominated
wow.
doc. Highly recommend it. Difficult but important film. So it's about the prison system. And it
Mm.
Right.
focuses on a prison in Alabama. And these brilliant, brilliant men in this prison formed a group. I forget the name of it, but they studied the law
Yeah.
and
Yes.
they kept filing lawsuits against the people in the prison
Yeah.
because it's absolutely disgusting and inhumane what they're going
Mm,
Yeah.
through.
yeah.
And the leader of this organization brilliantly said, let's not, because they kept saying, we need to do something, we
Hmm.
need to do something. Like there are murders every
Yes.
day in
Wow.
prison. And it's modern day
Yeah.
slavery.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yes.
And
Absolutely.
this man said, let's strike and not work. Hit them where it hurts. Hit
Yeah.
them in the bank
Great.
account.
Great.
Yeah.
And then they started to starve them out and not feed them.
Mm,
Yeah.
And that was what started to make change. And now this film is out. Hopefully change happens, but it's thinking that way. It's like
Yeah.
the only way for I feel like our society to change is for us to realize where we're spending our money, how we
Yes.
spend our money,
Yeah.
what I don't even know. Like we all are just feeding into this capitalist society
Yeah.
that feeds, makes the rich richer. And
yeah.
how do
Right.
we, to me, it's how do we change that? Because getting power is through
Right.
change in like economics and class. It's
Yeah.
class warfare
Yeah.
essentially. But this documentary is like really,
That's great.
yeah,
That's
I
a great way
highly
of
recommend
thinking.
it.
Yeah. I heard the story. I didn't know they had a
Yeah,
documentary
it's
on
on
it.
HBO right now.
Okay,
That's
I
Yeah,
awesome.
followed the story though, so I definitely know what you're talking about.
yeah.
Actually have done a lot of work in the prison system. My dad was in the prison system for
Mm,
quite a bit before he moved to education, but he was in that system, the mental health system as well.
yeah.
So I learned about all of that growing up
Mm,
pretty early on about the atrocities there and the reality of what it
yeah.
is. And then I worked with Innocence Project a lot this past year, who help exonerate innocent
Right.
people out of prison. And the RTA, which obviously was the huge film of the past year,
Mm.
with Coleman Domingo.
Mhm.
So Sing
Sing
Sing.
Sing. Oh,
So
I
All of it.
loved
yeah,
Sing
I haven't
Sing.
seen
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
The
god.
program takes place and was founded upstate.
One of my
Okay.
favorite
Yeah,
movies last
it was
year.
Oh.
beautiful.
It's stunning.
Yeah, it was beautiful. But yeah, it's just like also too, I just think it's gonna take people really it's once again that mindset shift in the deconstruction. I've been preaching on this all
Mm.
year because like once again, people will be like, oh, I'm gonna boycott Target, blah blah
Mhm,
blah.
mhm.
And then they're back there,
I
a month
know.
later.
Yeah.
It's like you guys aren't serious enough for me. It's
Boycott
like
Hulu and Disney
yeah, and
or
then they go right back to it because Jimmy
It's
Kimmel ended
hard.
back
yeah,
online,
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I get it. Like, I have my things, like, I'm vegetarian, I stick to
Yes.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, how can we all just be even if you can't stick to just be mindful of what you're
Yeah.
doing every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, but if we're gonna really see change though, you
Yeah,
know what
I
I'm
know,
saying?
I
Like,
know.
it's like if we're real people keep being like, "Well, how do we see change? How do we see change?" You have to do the drastic thing, you know? It's not there's no easy way out of this, and
Yeah.
honestly, Black people have been telling people this for a long time.
Yeah.
It's like,
Mhm.
we've been saying it. It's like, there's no easy way out of this. Like, y'all call us when you guys are serious because you guys
Mhm.
are not serious enough right now, you know?
No.
And when we were doing it in 2020, we were getting demonized. It
Right.
was like we were
Right.
getting demonized. It was like, oh, they're being, too much and they're ruining cities and blah
Right.
blah.
Right.
I mean, that's what it takes. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like the Chicago fires, the riots back in the day, which my dad lived through. It's like
Yeah.
nothing changes without the drastic thing. Like something drastic needs to happen for the people to fully wake up. And it's obviously not happening with the Epstein files enough for me.
Oh god, yeah.
It's not
No.
happening with people dying in the streets. People are just like on social media, like ranting, but it's kind of like,
Well, that's the problem. Yeah.
exactly, but it's like you guys are still not willing to do the thing,
Well, I think a lot of people aren't willing to,
put themselves on the line.
yeah, make their lives more uncomfortable,
Exactly.
right? But like you're right. I mean it's a conversation to had, and I'm not for at all. But like let's going back to people dying in the streets, like Luigi Mangione taking action in his
Oh
own
yeah, for
hands,
sure.
right? I'm not for that
Right. Yeah,
extreme.
yeah,
Like I don't
yes,
think
for
anyone
sure.
could justify that extreme,
That's why I
Yeah.
brought up
but
Alabama solution.
Right.
It's like
Yes.
there are other
they
ways,
Yes,
right?
for
strategically.
sure.
And there was some glimmer of this. There was a National Strike Day happening. So you're right that people can do
Yeah,
things
we
like,
did it. Like I
right,
was one of the leaders on social media passing it
amazing.
around.
Right.
For
So
sure.
and maybe but maybe it's like organizing to get more people to do it. So you're really shutting down the government, really shutting down businesses to really hurt the pocketbook, right? Because
Yeah.
that's the first time people will start listening to something. But, you know, I don't know. I will say, and I'm actually no, I won't say it because I wrote it.
Say it.
Well,
Say it.
I just
Say
you know,
it.
the just to be aware and consider that, like, the founders did boycott, and also in the 60s there were, you're right, there were massive strikes that
Mhm.
really like confronted the government,
Yeah,
right?
and
Like at
riots.
riots, and like there is a time and a place for confrontation when the government is not doing their job in protecting people.
Right.
Like so yeah, I mean I think it's
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, things are just beyond crazy, at this point, and it's just kind of like people are gonna have to understand that they probably are gonna have to get uncomfortable. Like I've been uncomfortable half my life.
right,
Like I've
right,
been, like I told you guys earlier, I've been speaking out for so long. Like I was speaking out before people even knew what sex trafficking in America
right,
was.
right.
We were touring the country. We had a nonprofit when people are calling us like too radical or, oh, what are you talking about? The elite people are doing this or XYZ, even though the data was right in front of their faces as well as survivors. It's just, I've lived that uncomfortable time. Like I've gotten blackballed, I've been getting
Right.
stalked. It's like we're speaking out from the entertainment industry to the work that I've done for trafficking
Mhm.
survivors. And it's just, yeah, like, I mean, chose that life, obviously, but not to get stalked and blackballed. But it's like, that's the unfortunate world we live in where they try to keep people like myself
Right.
silent.
Silent.
And a lot of people are uncomfortable with with that, and I get it, people, especially if you have a family and all
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
like, but understand how the Epstein survivors feel. I have
Right.
quite a bit of connections
Mhm.
now, who I call friends, as Epstein survivors. And it's just, imagine what they feel like. That's why people, when they ask, like, "Oh, well, why don't you guys do this and XYZ?" It's like, you guys have no clue of what they're having to go
Right.
through.
Right.
Their safety is
Right.
at risk every single
Yeah.
They were
day.
threatened and
Every
right.
single day, like, all of us are like, have been struggling here or there with no help because we have been getting threatened.
Mhm.
We have been getting blackballed, and it's just like, people don't really have the comprehension of that.
But I think maybe people are starting to feel some of that discomfort in their own lives now. Like let's
Well,
say in Minnesota, right?
yeah.
Two people were
Yes.
killed, and apparently in Minnesota, like businesses were shut down and people were just scared to go
Yeah.
out.
Yes.
And so it is now starting to bleed into everyday Americans'
Yeah.
lives. And so hopefully that will spur us all to take action to fight
Yeah.
for a better world, right?
Yes.
Like
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm hoping for
and there were
sure.
some glimmers of hope with like the new mayor we have, and
Yes.
Yeah.
so
Yeah, he's doing it
hopefully,
seems like, yeah, it seems like he's on the right track. And
I believe he genuinely cares, right?
yes, which is the big thing,
That is a
right?
big
Like, you
thing.
need
Is
someone.
that
It's like I was voting for him, filling in that little bubble. I was
Yeah.
so excited.
Yeah,
It was like
same.
I actually felt like I
Yeah.
want to vote for this person. It's
Yeah.
not just the next, like, I
Yeah, like,
have
I have to
to,
vote
the
for this
alternative,
person.
it's better
Yes.
than the other one,
Yes.
well, it's
Yeah.
kind of sad when the bar is so low. Like, I just want a politician that actually cares about like people.
Humans,
Yes, yeah,
humanity.
just a really someone who genuinely cares and wants to do good. Like,
Yeah.
so it's pretty sad that the bar is so low. But yes, I mean, I was excited too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
it's just, we need more people like him.
Yes.
And yeah, even we're hoping, yeah, as we build Maya's magic word, to connect with the city and be able
Mhm.
to, make it come out to be a thing and initiative here.
Oh,
And
that'd be great.
I mean, I want it to be a global initiative
Yeah,
eventually. I have
I
huge
hope so.
plans for this, but starting off like Chicago, Midwest, and then definitely New York since I live here. But yeah, it's definitely an important time. And
Yeah.
we need even our local leaders, like our advocacy leaders. We're going through a lot right now. It's like, we need the support of the people, and for people to honestly take advocacy centers and leaders seriously,
Yeah.
because we have a thankless job, to be honest, unless you're a survivor.
Mhm.
Yeah, people don't really understand what we do. So that's another thing I'm trying to like break into people's minds, especially on social media, that, we're out here, we're tired, but we're like continuously doing things to actually make changes in the
Right.
shadows on the front lines and policy and legislation meetings, that we have to go back and forth through, for years sometimes to change one dang word that shouldn't have been there in the first
Right.
place, and really have people comprehend the process. Um, and I'm actually coming out with a podcast. I'm working
Oh,
on it.
great. Great.
This was never normal is what it's called, and it'll be going through the
Wonderful.
journey of educating people, not just from like my story of dealing with these different sectors of life, and working in advocacy and policy, but also just educating people to how we can actually find a way to move forward.
Mm.
And so for the people at home and taking action in their own personal lives, right?
Mhm.
Because action looks differently
For
for
everyone.
everyone, and not everyone's going to be able to do the amazing work that you're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah,
But
of
what can we
course.
do in our own lives, right? I mean, voting is simple, but maybe it's demanding something from our representatives,
Hmm.
and maybe it's just really being thoughtful about where you actually invest your money and who that
Yeah.
money is going to.
I feel
Yeah.
like conversations and like calling
Yes.
people out on stuff and
Yes.
awareness and I don't make a ton of money, but I've thrown money
Yes.
donations at
Mhm.
Yeah.
causes I really
Great.
believe in.
Yeah.
So I think like it all ripples out. And even if you can't like full-time job,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
advocacy, like,
yeah.
be an advocate for the people in your life.
Wonderful.
Yes.
And that's really what I'm trying to do.
Great.
Yeah, and it
Um,
matters. It all
Yeah.
matters. And also just constantly like making sure you're checking yourself too. I think this is a huge growth moment for people. I feel like I'm constantly like on the internet and like, trying to like lead people in that direction of realizing that as well, because a change will take place in us, like
Yeah.
that is where the true revolution
Right.
lies, is
Right.
within people to die to their ego, to die to what they thought was right in the
Yeah.
beginning that mom and dad taught them that may
yeah.
actually have not been correct. And to rebuild their minds and their lives to catch up with the modern world of where we are. That's where the revolution will take
Right.
place.
Yeah. Right.
Calling out your family members, you know what I'm
Mm,
saying? If they say something that is like homophobic or racist or
right.
anti-Semitic, it's like all of that matters right
Yeah.
Like, no,
now.
it's wrong. It's wrong to think that way. And thinking through, you're right. I think that change does have to happen
Oh,
internally with
yeah.
everyone. Like, and just think about what kind of world do you want to leave the
Yes.
next generation, right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And just being genuine about it. Like I had a moment that happened a couple days ago where like I posted just a joke actually on
mm,
Threads. And like I usually do that once a day because I want
mm,
to bring together my community so we can have a release of a laugh in the middle of
yeah.
this crap pot that we're
Mhm.
all in. And, I started having, unfortunately, a few white people policing my posts.
Oh,
Mm,
And this woman decided to take it upon herself to repost my post with a quote
mhm.
that was talking about, we don't have time to XYZ and resistance. And I'm like, oh, okay.
mm,
Well, first off, I was born into resistance, so please don't.
Mhm.
Second of all, I am a survivor that's been on the front lines for over 16 years. You have no grounds here. And
Yeah.
also, this is just inappropriate. And,
Mhm.
she ended up blocking me instead of
Mhm.
apologizing.
Well, here's the thing too. People are hiding. I think like what can we do? I think it's
Hmm.
like leave your house and go
Yes.
meet people and talk to
Mm.
people and don't be afraid of like who you're standing next to in the grocery store or
Yeah.
judgmental. And I think so much hate and even like misunderstandings, like
Yeah.
even smaller scale things perpetuates and gets worse and builds up when I think culturally and technology lends itself to people just hiding in their houses and community isn't as big of
Yeah.
a thing.
That's right.
Right.
That is
But
happening now.
yeah. And also, too, though, it's like
Get
for,
yourself in the world,
yes, like,
meet
Yeah.
people
yes.
that make you maybe uncomfortable
Yes,
and learn and that you
exactly.
can learn
Right.
from. And
But even so, it's like that could have been a moment where she took, you know what I'm saying? Because she has a pretty like decent following.
Mm.
So it's like that would
I see what you mean. Okay.
that's what I'm trying to say. It's
She's
like you have
spinning
a
it for her benefit.
exactly. You have a lot of people out here, and this is
Oh.
another issue that we are running into online. Honestly, as a person of color, it's like you're running into these people who are saying that they are for unity and that they're for us
Mm.
and rights for us, but
Mhm.
then they're treating us like this.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
it's happening a lot,
Mhm.
which is
Mhm.
another issue.
Oh.
It's like then you're just as bad as the other side to
Yeah.
me, to us,
Yeah.
which once again creates more friction between our communities
Yeah.
Mhm.
because you are still not listening to us.
Yeah.
And then you're doing something like that where you blocked me for being called out instead of taking a step back
Yeah.
and apologizing and realize what you did was wrong. And then another person did the same thing she did. But she did end up apologizing because she
Okay.
realized that she was harmful towards me. But it's like that's another whole layer that we're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
People are afraid to be wrong. And I
Well,
think
that's
Yes.
apologizing,
yeah.
like when you apologize in a
Yes.
genuine way, it feels really good,
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
actually.
I do it all the
It's like,
time.
it's like, hey, I'm really sorry. Are you okay? And it's like showing
Yes.
like actual like empathy for somebody
Yeah.
else rather
Right.
than just being like, ooh, like making it about you. It's like such selfishness. It's like, this
Right.
isn't about you right
Yeah,
now.
like the woman, I don't know if you guys saw it. I think her company is like FYP or something. I don't know. She's been trending the past couple days
Uh-huh.
on the internet, but she basically made a distasteful email she sent out to her customers. She has
Mm,
she I forgot what kind of company she owns, but she made a joke about the Epstein files. Like the headline
Mm.
was like
Wow.
F you, pay me or something. It
Mhm.
was something related to what's happening.
Mhm.
and she's doubling down. She
Right.
is like not seeing what she did is wrong,
Yeah.
that she's exploiting the entire situation to try to make sales
Right.
for her
Right.
company.
Because then the money won't come in.
And it's like once again though, it's like just people not even just taking things seriously right now enough for
Mm.
me. You know, like that's what? Why would you do that?
Well, I think you're right, Victoria, that with technology and social media, there's this like emphasis on individuality, which
Yes.
individuality has always been part of the culture,
Yeah.
but it's even more so because we are kind of so siloed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's this self-centeredness about like, how do I use this situation to my advantage? How do
Yep.
I not apologize so I don't lose
Gain
face or
more
look good and get more?
followers.
Right. But
Yeah.
empathy is, I think, what we really should be fostering in ourselves and our neighbors and our society. And
Yeah. And
it's
just,
definitely missing.
yeah.
But I hope that your premonitions do come true and that this
Well, I already did. We're here.
well
So,
continue to come true and that we learn that we as a country and society learn from this and move
yeah.
more towards more empathy.
Yeah, I think, like I said, there are some really great people rising up right
Yeah.
now, and I know them, and they are all doing and have been doing
Wonderful.
incredible work. I think, yeah, we're all trying to come together more and more now to plan how we can collaborate on greater things to come.
Wonderful.
But yeah, I feel it for sure.
Good.
Definitely.
Good.
I feel hope. I feel definitely like joy for the future.
Hope is important. Hope we
Yeah.
need to have hope.
Yes, we do
We
need
have
to have
to,
hope. I think that's
yes.
another thing right now that's also kind of like
Yeah.
disheartening. A lot of people are just like losing that, which is the goal, right? That's a part of their goal. These people are so vile and evil. It's like
Yeah.
that's a part of it.
You're right.
It gets you tired, it gets you hopeless, and
Right.
then you don't want to think, you don't want to
And you
act.
and you become disenfranchised and you
Mhm.
don't participate in the
You
system
give away
and
your full
yeah.
autonomy. That's the goal.
Right.
So it's like, how can we make sure that in the midst of this chaos, we are finding joy and
Yeah.
hope every day,
Yes. Yes.
which is important. I have to remind people that every day, like online, especially like to my community. It's like you guys should be definitely making sure that joy and hope is a part of your like
Absolutely.
lifestyle. It has to
Absolutely.
be.
It has to be right. And it's something that everyone should demand for themselves and
Yes.
for their
Yeah.
children
Yes.
we're all working towards this
Yeah.
better world
Yeah,
for
we can't let them
better
steal
society.
that from
No.
us. And yeah, every time someone just comes on is like completely just, oh, it's just sucks. We're all fucking gonna die. It's like, okay, just like let's
No.
take a step
Yeah.
back.
Well, that's why I was like, honestly, I was a little concerned about, I like had a panic moment
All
and I
about this
Yeah.
texted Saro,
conversation. Yes.
Yeah.
like
Yes.
on the train here. I was like, should we not talk about this? Because I didn't want it to become like an anger,
Yes,
like
yes.
feedback loop, because then people listening, it just gets exhausting to
Yes.
just
Right.
hear anger without like
Yeah.
Right.
productive conversation. And I'm
Yes.
so glad that we did. And honestly, like seeing your book immediately, like right when you walked in, getting to see it,
Right.
what I love about
It
it is
is
that it's so
joyful.
bright
Thank
and it's so
you.
joyful and it's about preventative
Measures.
measures coming from a place of positivity
Yeah.
and like how you can think about boundaries at a young
Yes.
age.
Yeah.
So I just like I think that was such a great place to like launch from for
Yeah.
me
Yeah.
coming into this conversation, because I honestly was concerned because I didn't want it to be all like,
Yeah.
there is a lot of doom and gloom, but
Yes.
how do we like talk through it in a productive way?
For
I
sure.
was certainly very concerned as well. I wanted to talk about this, but I was trying to, but I'm glad it
You're
threaded in this way.
Yeah.
Like I think it's important to
Anger
present.
accomplishes nothing. It's like,
No,
Yes.
yeah.
no,
Yes.
we have to present the issues and then maybe talk about like,
Yeah.
well, what can we do in our own lives? And
Mhm.
so, it's not something we typically talk about on the show. We're usually more into the personal, spiritual journey
Yeah.
and life lessons, but this is like a social spiritual journey that we're all on together
Yes,
and
yes.
that we all need to reevaluate where we're at right now and
Mhm.
ask ourselves what can we do at home.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think I
And
want to
so
add, like I said, anger accomplishes nothing. I think like thinking through that more, it's like we should feel
yeah,
angry,
Yes.
yeah,
but we should not act from a place of
right,
anger.
Yes.
right,
We should feel that,
right,
Yeah.
but
transmute that fire
Exactly.
into,
Use it into productive. How do we make change from
yeah.
a grounded, like thinking it through intelligently, not
Absolutely.
emotional,
Yes.
not
Yeah.
non-emotional place because that
From
can,
a strategic,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
place
yeah,
of, yeah, yeah, working, yeah,
yeah, which is
through.
challenging.
Yeah, it's
It's
very challenging.
but we were in the company of friends and we
Yes.
had a good conversation, and that's partly hopefully how you do it. And yeah, I think anger and emotions are important. Like it tells you
Oh,
there's
yeah.
something wrong here,
Mhm.
Yes.
and let's now have some tea and coffee and
I literally just
take a
I
step.
took my last sip just then.
So
Cheers to
yeah,
that.
cheers, guys. This was great.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you for coming on. Cheers.